Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pascack Clutch Podcast. I'm Matthew Merlino, along with my co-hosts Sean Barry, Sam Koppelman, and Alex McKay. We'll start with Pascack Hills sports and with Pascack Hills football, who finished their regular season at 7-1 with a big win over Hepatcong last Thursday, 20-13. That means for the second straight year, the Broncos win the Super Football Conference Ivy Division Championship. With Fairlawn, who was in the catbird seat to win that, losing their last two games. That means the Broncos will host White Morrow in a playoff game this Thursday night. Tomorrow night, that'll be 7 o'clock p.m. right here on PH Athletics. Other teams in the state playoffs, boys soccer just made the state playoffs. They'll play at High Point today later at 3 o'clock. That'll be in the first round of the state tournament. Girls soccer will play tomorrow right after school. That'll be at home against Westwood around 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock p.m. in the first round of the state tournament. And volleyball will play on Friday in the first round of the state tournament. That should be around 3 o'clock, hopefully after school. We'll have coverage of girls soccer, football, and volleyball all here on PH Athletics. So, big game in college football. We'll start out with number 7 Penn State, number 3 Ohio State. First game in the Big Ten football tournament, I guess you could call it, considering Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan are the only teams that can win the Big Ten, and Ohio State comes out with a big win, 20-12.
Penn State, man, they need to win either this game or against Michigan, and they couldn't win this game. Penn State hasn't beaten Ohio State since 2016 in Ohio State.
Seventh year in a row, Ohio State's beaten Penn State.
So Penn State, tough loss for them. They really their best drive, their best offensive drive the whole game was the last drive when they scored a touchdown in garbage time. But now, after that loss, when you do play Michigan, you do have to beat them. And then, apparently if it's a 3-way tie, they did say that Penn State will most likely be the favorite to win it.
Yes, because it goes off of points scored and then I believe strength of schedule. Penn State with their big win over Iowa a few weeks ago. What was that, 33-0, something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
If there is a 3-way tie, Penn State has to beat Michigan and Michigan has to beat Ohio State, then all of them will have one loss in the conference. So Penn State would probably take it on that, but we will have to wait and see how things turn out. Ohio State, Michigan is usually around Thanksgiving, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's usually the last or second to last week of the season.
I do have to say, Penn State, they did battle in the game, but it was just
Ohio State outplayed them the entire game.
Yeah.
But,
Which could have been expected for some aspects.
They had that big win over Notre Dame, even though Notre Dame probably not the best team, and Penn State, big loss. Just a big loss for them. 20-12, Ohio State wins. We'll get to the AP poll in just a few minutes. Sam, your Florida State Seminoles, I guess, with a big win over Duke, coming in at number 16, 38-20. Pretty good game there. And Florida State 5-0 in the conference, 7-0 overall. And I believe they stayed at 4 in the rankings. But
which I don't really agree with, but it is what it is.
Well, I mean, none of the top 4 lost, so there's no reason for them to move up or to move down. So I think that's the best place for them to be. It really all depends on, since Michigan and Ohio State 2 and 3, it all depends on when they play and if one of them gets a surprise loss. Other news, Alabama against Tennessee, big SEC game, big rivalry on the third Saturday of October. Nick Saban coming out with a clutch win, only 7-1 now and still undefeated in the conference. 34-20 the final there. Tennessee takes their second loss and second conference loss. Of course, they lost to Florida early in the year. Bama, they still have a shot at it.
They still have a shot, but same as Georgia. They both, Bama and Georgia, they've been starting out bad.
Yes.
But then they always come back in the second half. So I feel like the SEC, it's still, I feel like anyone can still win it most likely.
And it's still, Alabama still has to play Ole Miss. They still have to play LSU to challenging teams. And they still have to play Auburn, even though Auburn's 3-4.
They're already out, but
that's
a rivalry game, and Auburn's home.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a big win for Alabama there. They are still undefeated and the only undefeated team other than Georgia in the SEC right now. Our last game that we'll cover from the past week in college football, number 18 USC after their big loss to Notre Dame at home against a very formidable Utah team, only one loss and ranked at 14, losing by 34-32 for the nightcap. USC down to 6-2 overall, their first conference loss because, of course, Notre Dame was a non-conference loss, meaning Washington is the only undefeated team in the conference in the Pac-12.
That's crazy. Who thought Washington was going to do it?
Who did Oregon lose to? Did they lose to?
Washington.
Oh yeah,
right. Yeah.
Remember? It was
that was
2
last.
weeks ago.
That was last week.
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
Utah is always they're a good team. I
Yeah.
feel like they can.
Well, they're always usually ranked in the top 20 at the end of the year.
But for USC, there has been some news that like Caleb Williams might stay another year at college because of the 12-team playoff next year.
But is he a junior?
Yeah, he's a junior.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
I mean, he could have always reclassed, but
or he'll just stay for his final senior year and then go to the draft.
Yeah.
well, if he,
there's no reason to reclass.
Yeah,
if he's,
well, I'm
it
saying
doesn't
if he was a
mean
senior this
reclassing,
year,
though.
if he was a senior this year,
Yes.
he could always reclass.
Yes.
So, with that, we'll take a look at the AP poll. All the top 6 stay the same: Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, Washington, Oklahoma, Texas, Oregon up 1 to 7 and 8 because Penn State's loss moves them down to number 10. Alabama up 2 to number 9 with the win over Tennessee. Oregon State all the way up at number 11, even though they're 6 and 1. Ole Miss 12, Utah up by 1 to number 13. Notre Dame up to 14, even though they were on the bye. LSU moves up 4 spots along with Missouri to 15 and 16. North Carolina all the way down 7 spots to number 17 because of their loss to Virginia. A big upset there, 31 to 27, with the Cavaliers taking the win over the Tar Heels. Louisville and Air Force both surprising, up to 18 and 19. Duke falling down with their loss, and Tennessee falling with their loss to 20 and 21. Tulane at 22, UCLA at 23, and USC all the way down to number 6. And James Madison University, unranked last week, undefeated, 7-0, even though they can't even make a bowl because of stupid NCAA rules. They're ranked for the first time in their FBS program history at number 25. So congrats to JMU. I know a lot of people from Pascack Hills go there, so congrats to James Madison on that accomplishment.
Yeah.
And our games coming up this week, big rivalry, the biggest cocktail party in the world, I believe. Number 1 Georgia against 5-2 Florida in Jacksonville at the Jaguars Stadium, 3:30 on CBS. That's their game of the week. Probably going to be a Georgia blowout.
I don't think so.
ESPN 85.2% chance to win. Florida will probably get off to a good start, but Georgia will come back.
Yeah, it is Georgia.
That's what I've been waiting for. Because remember, the Gators they have some good running backs, and they got Trevor Etienne they can use. So
Yeah.
Honestly, I
It could
have
be go with the run
Georgia
game.
all the way
I mean,
because I mean UF isn't having the greatest season.
but it's Florida.
never
Florida,
don't.
they beat Tennessee pretty handily early in the year. Of course, Tennessee
Florida
not on that Georgia level.
Florida
but
is always
it's hit or miss.
yes.
Florida's always mad, but then sometimes they have like one good season,
Yes.
and then they're back to being mad.
That's how it is most of the time.
Like Georgia, they've had some pretty close games this season overall. I mean, 27-20 to Auburn, 24-14 to South Carolina.
Yeah, and both
also,
of those they were down in the first half.
I don't
by,
know
by like 2 scores.
I don't know
Yeah.
what Brock Bowers.
Yeah,
What's
that's
up with
that
that too? So I could play in the
Bowers
factor.
is going to be out
And,
for
like,
at least 4
Even
weeks.
with Georgia, like I'm not a big fan of their QB Carson Beck because they Georgia like when they came back and wins like they're always running the ball.
Yes.
Like that's what they do in
They
offense.
don't-
run
they
the
don't
ball.
have faith in him.
Yeah, they barely pass the ball with them.
So Georgia is favored by 14.5 points. Of course, that's at the end of the game, not at the halftime, because Georgia, of course, with their slow starts throughout the year. Our game of the week is a top 15 matchup in the Pac-12. 6-1, number 8 Oregon against 6-1, number 13 Utah, in a very big game for the Pac-12. Of course, that's if Washington loses. We'll see how things go there. Oregon, big favorites to win, even though it is in Utah. They're 6.5-point favorites, pretty much favored by a touchdown on the road. And that's our game of the week. So,
but speaking of the Oregon game, it's not even that close with stat-wise. I mean, Oregon players have way better stats than the Utah players. I mean, receiving yards. For Oregon, the guy has 44 receptions for 768 yards and 8 touchdowns, where the receiving leader for Utah, it has 22 receptions for 210 yards.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
Yeah, Oregon should win pretty handily, but of course a top 15 matchup in the conference. It is, I believe, a rivalry game, so it should be fun to watch.
Utah did beat USC, so.
And they did.
Yeah, crazy.
Yes. Oregon's yet to play USC. Correct. Or do they play USC?
They did not play USC. No.
Yeah, they play them.
They play them November 11th.
November 11th.
When Penn State and Michigan.
At home.
Yep.
At home.
Yep.
Yeah. So a very big game there. Let's get our picks going. Michael, not here today. He picked Oregon. We'll start with Sam.
Oregon.
All right. Sean, who you got here?
I can never pick against the Ducks.
He likes the Donald Ducks. Alex, what do you got?
I mean, they beat USC. I kind of have to go with Utah. You never know.
He goes with the Utes, and he's going to be the only one to go with the Utes. I'm going with Oregon here.
And last week in Oregon's game, even though it wasn't a big game, they were the Down Ducks.
Yes.
Last game.
I
won.
Once I saw them, I sent the picture of the uniforms to Matt, Sean.
They need
Sam,
to wear those
Michael,
jerseys more often.
And I was like, "Yo, these are sick."
Yeah.
They need to wear them.
In
more
my opinion,
often.
the Donald Duck jerseys are probably their best jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
But that's in my opinion.
I did like those. Those were very.
But with the
those were
helmet,
very nice.
Oh, yeah.
you know how their helmet with the uniform's yellow?
Mhm.
Instead of like UO or OU, whatever it is,
Yeah.
it should be the yellow helmet with the green, but then the picture of Donald Duck on the helmet.
That would be
That
so
would
cool.
that would be clean. In baseball, we had a big Game 7 last night. It
Crazy.
was Arizona, the Diamondbacks, coming back from down 2-0, correct? To
Yes.
win in
Yep.
7 games in Philadelphia, one of the most hostile environments to play
They
in
were
all
down
of baseball.
2-0, won the next 3, lost Game 6, and then won Game 7 4-2.
4-2. And Philly may have to rethink. Turner not putting up those
He played
numbers
so bad
that
last night.
that he should be
Watch
in
him
those
go-
clutch
Bro just hit
situations.
grounders.
I
Watch
know.
him go back to the Dodgers.
And he looked to
What he
bunt, and he had a perfect bunt, but it just went foul. Remember that?
Yeah.
I think it was the bottom of the 7th. Turner
I'm
had a
gonna be
perfect
honest,
bunt,
I
and then
went
he
to
just
bed.
didn't play.
I went to bed.
I fell asleep in like the bottom of the 8th, but I woke up for the end of it. But I remember it was
Both-
like the bottom of the 7th. Turner had a crazy bunt. It was right down the line. It was perfect, but then it just
I'm
went
gonna be
foul.
honest, I forgot the game was even being played yesterday. I was too busy watching the Devil game, but
Fair.
from what I've
Fair.
seen, it was all Arizona.
And Arizona, a surprising team for sure to make it, facing another surprise with the Texas Rangers. I almost said the Houston Astros. They lost, but also a Game 7 in the ALCS. The Rangers winning
Adolis Garcia
11-4,
went off.
Adolis
He hit, like, 3
Garcia.
home runs.
going off. My
I think if
God.
he keeps what he's doing going on, like his hot streak, the Rangers are winning the World Series.
Both
Easy.
three runs, one in the 3rd, one in the 8th, both at least 340.
What do you have? Like 8 home runs? Like 10 home runs that
Something
series?
crazy. He had in Game 7 alone. He was 4 for 5,
In
3
Garcia-
runs, 2 home runs, 5
Garcia had
RBIs.
He owns the Astros.
It
He
says
does.
Garcia had 10 runs, 17 hits, and 7 home runs with 20 RBIs.
And fun fact, in that
In the
series,
postseason.
Incredible.
Hold
in
on.
stat
the
line.
this postseason, I mean, having 7 home runs and 20 RBIs, that's crazy.
He had like 3 against the Astros.
Fun
Yeah.
fact, and that series, the road team won every game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very
Mhm.
interesting.
And that was the first ever like game set like 7-game series that the away team has won every
Yeah.
game.
How about
Oh,
that?
yeah.
Also, a fun fact.
And also that was also last night against the Diamondbacks, the Phillies game. That was the first ever Philadelphia Phillies game 7
Yeah.
Really?
ever.
In
Yeah,
any postseason
in
series?
any postseason.
141 years of
Wow.
their existence.
First game 7.
That's incredible.
Yeah, but
That's incredible.
Yeah,
I guess they didn't make the World Series that much.
Yeah,
so.
no. Adolis Garcia had 2 home runs in their final game to.
Yeah.
go to the
Also,
World
both
Series.
both of these
Incredible.
teams are coming from the wild card, and they did not have home field advantage to win
Yes.
the wild card.
He had
And
the
who did the
co-
Diamondbacks
he had the
beat in
coldest
wild
stat
the
card?
for
Brewers
Brewers.
and
series.
Rangers beat the Rays.
Yes.
Yeah, didn't the Diamondbacks also
Two
beat the Dodgers?
very favorite
yeah.
teams. Yes,
The
the
Diamondbacks-
Diamondbacks beat the
the
Dodgers, the
Brewers,
Brewers,
and
and,
the-
now the Phillies.
Yeah.
And the Rangers beat the Rays, Astros,
Who
and
did it
Twins,
beat?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Twins.
Yeah,
Twins.
Something I find crazy is how three players on the current Rangers roster all were New York Mets last year.
Yeah.
Scherzer,
DeGrom.
Verlander.
Well,
no,
Verlander's on the
yeah,
Astros.
Yeah, my bad.
Mhm.
DeGrom, Scherzer, and Travis Jankowski.
We
He's-
won the Texas Rangers a championship if they
Sure
win.
you did. Sure you
Yeah.
did. Then why couldn't you win it with yourself?
We wanted the Rangers to win. They got
Yeah.
screwed against the Cardinals
Yeah.
12 years ago.
Anyways, the Rangers are heavy favorites to win the World
Oh, yeah.
Series. They're
Yeah,
minus
they're-
170.
Texas Rangers.
66% Rangers, 34%.
You know what they say about
Diamondbacks.
this year for sports? This year, wait, what did they say? Oh, this year it's the Rangers year. Texas
Not the
Rangers
New York
and
Rangers.
New York Rangers.
Not the New York
Yes.
Rangers.
Yes.
All right.
Hear this.
It's the
something I find
Rangers year.
crazy about
Yup.
that
It's
is
the year
how
for the
We'll
Rangers.
see.
we have we have the soon to be
It's the
NL
year of the
Rookie of the
It's
Year
the year
Yes,
for the
Corbin
Rangers.
It's the
Carroll.
year of the
Corbin
Ranger,
Carroll,
baby.
The
We'll
year of
see.
the Rangers.
and one of the greatest players currently, Corey Seager.
Yes.
Playing
It's
against
it's
each
going
other.
to be a fun World Series
Yeah.
to watch. Unfortunately, probably
Because
not a
Corey
lot of people will
Seager
watch
had
it.
had an amazing
Two
second
small
half
market
postseason.
teams in baseball.
Yeah, I don't think anyone
no
wants to watch
one's no one's gonna
Diamondbacks and
watch it
Rangers.
because
Yeah.
remember a few years ago when the NBA had Milwaukee and Phoenix in the finals.
Yeah,
and it was like
nobody
the lowest ratings
watched
in
it.
30 years.
Oh my god!
This is going to be there's going to be barely
Just as
2
bad.
million people watching this.
If that.
So for our World Series picks, we're going to do something special. It's going to be 1 point to whoever if somebody picks the correct team, and 2 bonus points if you pick how many games it goes to. So right now the standings look: Alex leads 5-1 because last week he got both OSU and Philadelphia right. Michael was the only guy who took Miami in our NFL game of the week, and Sam and Sean were the only two who both took Penn State in our Penn State picks. So Alex is the leader at 5-1. Me and Sean are tied for second at 4-2. Michael is in fourth at 3-3, and Sam, as per usual, is in last at 2-4. No offense. So pretty big swing if you guys get both right. Let's start with Sam.
Rangers in. I'm gonna go 5. Rangers in 5.
I can see that. I may say that. Let me think about it more. Sean,
I got Rangers in 7.
I can see that as well.
Go right in the middle. Rangers at 6.
You said that before the show, so we were
Yeah.
expecting that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going Rangers. I'm going to go with Sam. I'm going Rangers in 5. And Michael said he doesn't care, so L to Michael.
Yeah, Michael's not
Goodbye.
a baseball fan.
Yeah, who cares?
He says it's boring.
Well, one of the reasons why I'm sure you weren't watching the
I'd be
the
surprised
Game
if this
7
goes to a game 7. I'd be
I would be as
extremely
well.
surprised.
I would be as well. But one of the reasons why Alex said he wasn't watching the Game 7 last night was because of the Devils game. And last night they had the first ever NHL Red Zone, NHL Frozen Frenzy on ESPN. I liked it. I think they could have made some
It could have been
improvements.
better.
It could have
It could have been better.
There were some minor graphical
Yeah.
issues
Issues.
that they had, because I remember when they were going to the split screen, they always had it shift, and you could see that
Yeah.
they were going to the split screen. And I don't think Buccigross should have had somebody with him.
You know,
I think he was-
should only be
it should-
one guy.
Yeah, it should have been just Buccigross. It should have been.
I think that
NFL Red
the plays that they could have shown could have been shorter.
Zone. And it's hard. It's hard to do it for hockey because
I know.
I mean,
Which
what
is
you
unfortunate.
what you should do is show every power play, not what they did, which was, "Ooh, Red Wings cross the blue line. Let's show this," and then they're immediately out of the blue line, so nobody
Yeah.
cares
That-
anymore.
You know,
Exactly.
a lot of their.
They didn't show some of the big hits
Yeah.
that happened.
Yes.
And then, also,
They
they showed
Although they
the
did
start-
replay the Brady
You know who they should get?
shoulder injury a couple
And
times.
they did show the
Who's
Tkachuk fight.
who's the
Yeah.
guy for NHL Frenzy?
Buccigross.
You know who should do it?
Who?
Scott Van Pelt.
But it depends on when you do it though, because he does the Monday night countdown.
Or you could
stuff.
do Sean McDonough for that.
No,
Nice.
but McDonough's doing the normal games.
The
Just
one
have
after-
Scott Van Pelt do it on Tuesday.
It would be pretty. It
Just
would
like,
be pretty good.
just like-
I do like Scott Van Pelt, so I would like.
The one
I mean,
thing.
Buchgras is a big hockey guy, so I think we just keep. Buchgras is a good guy to do that, but
Yeah.
SVP would. Be
I
the
haven't.
second
I
choice
haven't
there.
watched it. Yes,
Yeah.
I was busy
I
playing
still have-
NHL.
I still have no idea why
Yeah.
they were showing like the whole entire first period of the Ranger game.
Yeah,
They showed like
that-
15 minutes.
Well,
straight.
we turned on the Game 7 once it went to like seventh inning, so we
Yeah.
just didn't watch it after that. But it was good. It's good to have that. I think it's a bit weird to do it for hockey because hockey is not like football. Football is
All right.
built for that stuff because once you
Yeah.
get inside
All right.
like the 25, you know.
So you know what that game said remind me of for the Phillies?
What?
The Phillies reminded me of the 2015 Rangers. Let me explain. 24
Rangers or Royals?
No, New York Rangers. I
Oh,
compared
New
it to the
York
Phillies.
Rangers, okay.
Back here. Let me explain. All right. 2014 New York Rangers. They lose the Stanley Cup Final. 2022 Phillies to lose the World Series. 2015 Rangers. They come back in the playoffs. Go off just like Phillies this year. They go off, and then they do good in Eastern Conference Finals. Phillies, they do good in the LCS, and then big Game 7 at home. Rangers, they showed up. They were asleep. Lost 2-0. Phillies, like yesterday, big Game 7.
Didn't show up.
They didn't show
Didn't
up.
show
Were
up.
asleep, and they lost.
Yeah.
What was the final score again?
It was 4-2.
4-2.
And I don't think
So
Schwarber, Turner, or Harper
Do
did
you understand the
pretty much
comparison?
anything. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
they both
understand
made it to the
that.
finals, lost, and then big
Next
Game
year-
7s in the conference finals. They showed up, were asleep, and lost.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So-
how I see it.
That is a good analogy right there from Sean Barry. Let's go to everybody's favorite sport, the NFL, except for us because we like the NHL. Let's start with a little message to Michael, who is at home or wherever he is, and to Alex, who's here. Raiders.
What happened?
Who is this Tyson Bagent guy in his first ever start? And you lose 30-12
You lose
Oh
to
my
the
God.
Bears.
with Brian Hoyer, who, even though he's barely played, still has like 15 years of experience. I remember playing with him on the Browns in Madden 12.
What
You think I wanted Brian Hoyer to
happened?
start? I want Aiden O'Connell 100% to start.
You lost to
The
Bears.
You lost to the Bears.
The
who
30 to
hadn't
12.
won a
Raiders-
game since the other
Raiders-
week since it became
Raiders-
Elon Musk's
Raiders
company.
Poverty
They won like
franchise.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
Poverty
before that, they
franchise.
hadn't
they
won a game
hadn't
in a
won
year.
in over a year.
Raiders
My
poverty
God.
franchise.
Well, the Raiders,
Poverty franchise.
Poverty
Raiders.
franchise.
the Raiders didn't have like half
As
their.
poor as your owner's
Poverty
hairstyle.
franchise.
The Raiders are as poor as their owner's hairstyle. It's incredible.
Mike McDonkey.
Well, I'm sure Michael would agree with you if he was here. But my God,
That was just terrible.
terrible.
bruh,
and the
like-
McDaniels has to get out of
Honestly,
here.
imagine playing
Hate 'em.
football for the Raiders right now. Like,
Yeah,
oh.
like I
Imagine
get it.
playing. Imagine playing for the Broncos and the Commanders as
Oh
well.
my God, or the Eagles. Oh no, I'm joking.
Oh.
Bro, we're
I
6
know,
and
I know.
It
one.
was
doesn't
just
matter. You're
joking.
the Eagles.
Yeah,
Best fan
Huh.
base in the league.
I'd rather work for the Giants.
best
than the
fan
Eagles.
base for the league, except for when you threw batteries at at Santa Claus. And I'm half from Philadelphia, so you can't diss me on that stuff. Sean, you were at the Giants game. Interesting. You finally won something.
Yes.
14
it was
to
a
7.
good win. And
Defensive game.
the crowd was electric, and
You actually won a game.
yeah.
And you have a big game this coming week. Your
Against
Super Bowl.
your
pretty
Jets.
much.
But yeah, no, at the game.
I have been told if the Jets lose, I must not show my face at all to anybody, to any Giants fan, or I will be pummeled into the grave. It
All right.
seems.
But yeah, at the game, it was a great game. The defense did carry though. We had like 10 sacks or we were just keep sacking Samuel. Tyra Taylor played pretty good, and the rookie receiver Jalen Hyatt.
Yes,
he played good.
Hyatt had 2 very good catches.
We
in that
need
game.
we need to throw him the ball more. He's like
Yes.
our best receiver on our team besides him and Slayton. And then Darren Waller, he got a touchdown,
Mhm.
which was good.
First.
He,
of the
he
season.
got
Yeah.
his first touchdown of the season.
But yeah, overall,
He was the
Yeah.
receiving leader, 98 yards on 7 receptions. Saquon, 77 yards on 21 carries, and Taylor balled out, 279, 2 touchdowns.
and our defense, we also got an interception,
Yeah.
too. And there was this one play, Kayvon Thibodeau, we could have a pick six. He had the ball right in his hands, but he dropped it. But yeah. And 2 of the punt returners for the
right.
Giants fumbled the ball, too.
And on the first punt return,
Yeah.
he fumbled it.
And then Sterling Shepard fumbled it, too, later.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm just happy we got the win.
Yeah,
which
very,
matters the
very
most.
good win. That's what you need coming into this big matchup against
And-
the Jets.
They did say that if Daniel Jones is back, they will start him. But if I'm being honest, man, start Tyrod Taylor. He's
I'm
so
gonna-
much
I
better.
would,
Yeah,
bro.
Tyrod Taylor did
He's
ball
balling out right
he,
now.
He has been balling out in these past 2 games.
Uh-huh.
Barely lost to the Bills and
Exactly.
beat Washington.
Only if the refs call that PI.
Yeah.
Even though, like, let's say they call PI, but we did get another chance, but we missed it. I'll be fine because at least we. But if we did got that chance, we did score. Then yeah, we would have
Yeah.
won.
What do we have here?
No, I was looking at for the game of the week.
Yep.
That we if you want to talk.
Well, we'll talk about that
Yeah,
later.
there's some. So I saw Sauce Gardner is questionable. DJ
Yeah.
Reed is
They're
questionable.
both still
feel
in
like-
concussion protocol.
I
Yeah.
feel like
But we did beat the Eagles without them. So.
This
That is
game-
true.
But the
just
Jets play down to their competition. That's just what we do.
Jets versus Giants. I feel like it's gonna be a big defensive game.
Speaking
I
of
feel like it's gonna be low
I
scoring
agree.
too.
I agree.
speaking of Jets versus Giants is our game of the week.
Yes, and we've got a few more games to get to, so we'll
Yeah.
talk about that in a minute. Our game of the week last week, picking off of that, was Sunday Night Football, Dolphins against the Eagles. Not a close game, not exactly what we expected, I think.
No.
We expected it to be a shootout, but it was a
Yeah.
pretty good game. 31 to 17, Eagles ran away with it at the end.
Yeah.
And
that game was all AJ Brown pretty much.
yes,
Yeah,
10 receptions, 137 yards, 1
And
touchdown.
speaking of AJ Brown, he just got his 5th straight game with 125 receiving yards, which I believe now ties the record.
Yeah, it does.
So if he gets one more, he broke a record.
Yeah.
I feel like the Dolphins need a bit of defense. Like,
They do. They do.
I
The
know.
only player I noticed when they did the intros was Eli Apple.
Yeah, and
that's not good.
Yeah, and I feel
That's
like
not good.
Yeah.
I
Jalen
feel
Ramsey's
like
been
that
great.
and then the Dolphins when they do their offense, it's really just Tua, Mostert, Waddle, and Hill.
But I think this.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
pretty good offense.
I think
I
this
know, but-
finally shows what I've been saying for weeks. When the Dolphins go against good teams,
Yeah,
they
they
can't
haven't-
perform.
they
Well,
haven't-
they haven't beat a team over 500.
No, they haven't.
They
know.
haven't beaten
They
an
beat-
actual
they
good
lost
team.
the
They lost to the
Bills, and they
Bills and they lost to the
lost
Eagles.
to the Eagles.
And
Two
both were on the
pretty decent
road.
teams
Yeah.
overall. Pretty good teams. Well, not the Bills this season, but the Eagles, good.
Did the Jets play the Dolphins yet this year? I don't think
No.
so.
No.
They
Yeah.
don't play till like next
They don't
week.
play. They don't play until Black Friday.
Yeah.
Black Friday.
It's like the Viking line.
Yeah, that's
They
like
don't
a
play till
3
the end of
o'clock.
the season. Then it's
That's like a
back-to-back
3
weeks.
o'clock game on Black Friday,
Yeah,
and it's on Amazon
It's a
Prime.
weird time.
It's on
3
Amazon
o'clock?
Prime.
No, it's Peacock. I think.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, but it's a streaming service. I forget what.
There's also college football games too on Black
Yes.
Friday.
Yeah.
Monday Night Football. Got to talk about the Niners. What happened to the Niners?
Is Brock Purdy a
No.
fraud?
Yes.
I'm saying this: Brock Purdy. He was doing really good. He lost one game.
One
it's
thing-
all going downhill from here.
One
Yeah.
day to say, never underestimate primetime Kirk Cousins.
Even
Except for all the times that he's lost.
Who was that first?
Except-
Who was that? Their first one this season?
except
Who, the
when he
Vikings?
Yeah.
They're
No,
3 and
so-
4 right
Oh,
now.
3 and 4.
Yeah,
Except-
they're coming
First
back.
home
Okay,
win, first
They
home.
started 0-4 too.
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
underestimate Kirk Cousins unless it's
Bro,
Monday Night
stop
Football.
talking
Because
I think-
out.
I think
going
that-
into-
I think that
All right, get
when
him out there.
the trade deadline comes around, the Vikings are going to make a couple big moves.
Oh, that's
Kirk Cousins
that's
isn't
this
leaving
week, I believe.
When-
This is the
all right,
last
hold on.
week of
Yeah.
trades.
Do we have any
So-
news
Halloween.
of Justin Jefferson when he's coming back?
I think there are going to be some big moves this week.
At
This
least,
week.
at least 4 weeks for Jefferson.
4
but
weeks.
I agree with Sam. The trade deadline last year was pretty big. I think it's going to be big again. They're
I
gonna,
think
You know.
Who
yeah,
won the
do it
league?
like the
It's
NBA.
got to be because so many
Halloween.
teams are just either very good or very bad.
Well,
Like there's a very
I
big.
know Cousins is
very big-
staying.
Yeah, he
skill
didn't-
gap.
He's
Yeah.
staying.
not
He
approving
didn't
the trade
waive his
clause.
no
But
trade
here,
clause.
even though Jefferson's out, you know who I feel like is just doing better than Jefferson overall right now?
Who?
Addison.
Jordan
He had that like rip out of
Yeah,
the
I
hands
know.
for a touchdown.
I saw the highlight. I'm like, bro.
I
how
was
did he-
sleeping,
Yeah.
and my dad downstairs watching the game. He screamed, so that woke me up, and I went on Twitter and watched the play.
Like, I thought
like,
that
"Oh,
was an
that's nice."
interception.
Yeah.
He just took the ball
Yeah,
away.
he
from
just
the defender.
ripped it out of his hands.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Halloween on Tuesday is the trade deadline.
Yep.
So I think 3:00.
3 or 4 o'clock.
4
I think.
o'clock now.
Or
Last year's
it
3
may
o'clock.
be maybe 3 o'clock Central, so it's 4
Yeah.
o'clock our time.
Yeah, so 4:00 Eastern time is.
So watch out this
Halloween.
week because we're probably going to get some big trades
Yeah.
this week.
Oh,
Oh,
by the way,
absolutely.
the rumors about Devontae Adams being traded away, they've been canceled now.
Yeah. I
it's been
saw
confirmed that
those
he's
on Monday.
Speaking of the trade deadline, what teams do you think are going to trade? What teams?
I think the Giants will try to trade.
Giants will trade.
For what though?
I'm not
Eagles
sure.
will trade.
Eagles, I mean, they picked up Julio.
They will
So
trade.
I'm not sure. They
They
probably
might trade.
They'll
will.
trade.
Do you know? Okay, they might.
If I'm being honest, I don't think the Giants
Miami
are
will
gonna
trade.
Mhm.
I don't
Miami
think
will
Somebody
try.
on the defensive line.
I don't think
has
the
to be-
Giants are going to trade. If I'm being honest.
I kind of agree with you. I just put them out there.
Kansas
I mean,
City
they
is going to
could,
try
but,
and
like-
trade for
A receiver.
a receiver.
Well, they got Hardman, and Hardman.
Yeah, they got
balled
Michael
out.
Harmon back.
Yeah,
So-
but Hardman's not been good overall. Like,
Yeah, but
he's been
the
good, he's been
Jets
on
just
and off.
misused him.
He's been on and off.
But he's back with the Chiefs like he was before.
Yeah, I think Hardman's going to ball out. Patriots may trade. I think they may try.
I feel like I feel like New England, like they're not that bad of a team. I don't know.
I mean, they
Chargers
beat
could-
Buffalo.
Chargers could
Exactly.
want to trade.
Yeah,
Like when you look at
I
like
think everyone's going to want to trade.
yeah.
when you
But
look
it
at
just depends on
when you look
who's
at
going to
like,
be able
when you
to.
look at like
Yeah.
the teams Giants and Patriots schedules, when you see their future games, they could win those games and push into the playoffs.
Same with the
Absolutely.
Jets.
Yeah, exactly. That's why this Giant Jet game is big for playoff contenders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see about the trade deadline when we get there. That'll be Halloween's a Tuesday this year.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
for the day after, we'll have a show, and I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll talk about that. Let's end this with our NFL picks. We have the Jets against the Giants. Michael picked the Jets. We'll start with Sam.
Jets.
Sam goes with the Jets. Forgot to mention the spread. Jets are favored by 3. It is a giant.
They're
home
gonna
game,
they're
but it
gonna
doesn't
they're
really
gonna
matter.
they're gonna win by over the spread. Absolutely.
Should
Are you
be.
sure?
Should be. It
If
should
they
be a
win.
defensive game. So I'm not sure about that.
Or the
but
Giants
the Jets
have a
should.
good defense.
I'm positive their O-line is terrible.
we'll see.
So who
We'll see.
don't the Jets only have like one good defensive lineman?
No, our
No.
defensive line is stacked.
Yeah, no, they got really
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've drafted a bunch of guys that are really good.
All right, Sean.
At least we have Saquon.
Fair. Giants fan.
Saquon's
I'm
question.
going with the Giants, bro.
He's going with the Giants. Alex.
I'm going Jets.
And Brian Dable, we trust.
I'm
I'm
going with the Jets, partly because of bias, partly because of logic.
Yeah.
We'll
I
see.
mean, somehow Zach Wilson is throwing 1,100 yards, 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's really
Somehow.
He's turned the season around.
But don't worry, because out of the tunnel, with music playing,
Aaron
wearing number 8
Rodgers.
with a bunch of tape around his ankle, Aaron Rodgers
Will
coming out.
emerge.
Don't forget about glue.
Let me live in my world of delusion.
Mm-hmm.
And on that bombshell, it's time to end. Thank you all for joining us for this episode of the Pascack Clutch Podcast. For Alex McKay, Sam Koppelman, and Sean Barry, I'm Matthew Merlino. So long, and we'll see you next Wednesday.